Man, that is a fresh oyster. Super delicious. Welcome to Chopstick Travel. I'm Luke Martin, and today I'm in Brittany, France, on the beautiful Atlantic coast. Brittany is famous for many high-quality food products, and the Bretons are distinctively different than the rest of France, owing to their Celtic heritage. So today we're going to be sampling all kinds of Breton cuisine. We're going to be exploring two towns, Cancale and Saint Malo. It's going to be a great episode, so make sure you stay tuned until the end. Let's go eat some Breton food. So this morning we are in the town of Cancale. It's known as the oyster capital of France, probably the oyster capital of all of Europe. And it is a beautiful little town on the coast. You can see right now it is low tide and all of the oyster farms are exposed. They're actually harvesting the oysters right now, and everywhere you walk here, there's just tons and tons of oyster shells. I'm standing on a ton of oyster shells right now. And we've come to Cancale specifically for the Marché aux Oysters, or the Oyster Market. We're going to, of course, eat some oysters, probably have a little bit of wine too, but what a just gorgeous town. Beautiful town on the coast here, and it's gonna be some seriously fresh oysters, I can tell, because there's the oyster farm and there's the oyster market. So let's go get some.
Ça paraît assez facile en me regardant, mais moi je suis sûr que si je vous regarde travailler, ça me paraîtra facile aussi.
So the way that the market here in Cancale works is they have all the different oysters laying out on platters. They have different types of oysters, so just ask for your recommendation. Everybody's very friendly, they can all speak English, and we just ordered up a platter of two different types of oysters. So we've got these ones, which are like the flat ones, which he said are a bit nutty and sweet, and these are just like the classic Cancale oysters, and then served with a lemon, but you can also get it with red wine vinaigrette like I've got here. And what a setting too. Just look, this is where the oysters are coming from. You can literally see it from where you sit and eat. And then you can get a little glass of wine from the van there. And this is probably the best place to eat oysters in all of Europe, with the vinaigrette. And then how many we got here? I think it's a dozen oysters, 15 euros, so very affordable too. So let's dig in. So he told us to start with these flat oysters, and just look at those beauties right there. He also recommended not to go any lemon or any vinaigrette for the first couple ones anyway. Let's try this guy out here. My first Cancale oyster right by the water here. This is so beautiful. Oh, it is a little bit nutty. Yum. Man, to call it fresh is just such a basic statement, but man, that is a fresh oyster. Super delicious. And one really cool thing about Cancale is when you finish with the oyster shells, you literally just chuck them down into the sea. Okay, let's try the second type of oyster we've got here. This is more classic. Oh, those are a little bit hard to open. There we go. Just scrape everything in there. And this time I'm gonna go for a squeeze of lemon as well. Beautiful, beautiful looking oyster. Oh my gosh. Those are so good. Wow. With the squeeze of lemon, that is just phenomenal. Man, those are incredible oysters. Okay, I'm gonna try with this red wine vinaigrette. There's some onions in there as well. Oh my gosh. These are definitely some of the best oysters I've ever had. Wow. This red wine vinaigrette is absolutely incredible too. You can go very generous. Beautiful flavor. Oh man. And then chase it with a little bit of Chardonnay. This is the life. I could sit here all day and eat these.
I think I taste the shell a little bit. but the oyster taste is like naturally like from the sea. But I think it's get the sourness like from the lemon, and it's perfect to each other. I like it. Okay, I'm gonna try with the vinegar. I think I like it better with the vinegar because it's a little bit salty and you can taste the onion taste too.
I think these little flat ones are my favorite. They're just super sweet naturally, and like he said, a little bit nutty actually, which is really interesting. And if you even remotely like oysters, you've got to come here. And if you're an oyster lover, this has to be on your bucket list. It is the place for oysters in all of Europe. I love the concept too. Right by the oyster farm, chucking the shells down there. So it might feel a little bit odd at first to throw your shells, but actually it's a good thing, because when the tide comes in, it takes these oyster shells back out. They'll break down over time, and the calcium carbonate in the shells will help the new oysters to grow their shells. Just don't throw your lemon down there. You can tell by all of the beached boats just how high the tides come in here in Cancale. It's actually directly across the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, from my hometown in New Brunswick, which has the highest tides in the entire world. So we're just warming up today. We're going for some more seafood. There's a restaurant just down the street here in Cancale that we're gonna have some more seafood.
So we're sat down now at a restaurant called Courant. It's a famous seafood restaurant here in Cancale. We just ordered up a seafood tower or seafood platter for two, and got another glass of rosé here, just waiting for our seafood to arrive. They brought out a bucket and whatever you call this thing. It's a good sign. All right, oh my gosh. Apparently this is the seafood platter for two, but it looks like the seafood platter for two families. This thing is absolutely massive. So we've got so many seafoods. Let me start introducing it. We've got the oysters, of course. We've got some shrimps, some langoustine. This is a Breton crab, brown crab. Let me try to spin this and not drop anything. There's these little tiny shrimps right here too, as well. And then back over here, let me keep spinning. Oh my gosh, this thing is just absolutely massive. This is like almost intimidating. We're gonna be here for hours trying to eat all this. I think these are either whelk or clam. And then over here we've got periwinkles, these little guys right here, the little periwinkles. Wow, this just looks absolutely crazy. So let's dig in. This is honestly almost like a seafood challenge. I'm gonna start with these langoustines. I'm gonna skip the oysters because we've already had plenty. And yeah, gotta break out the tools for these guys. Little squeeze of lemon, beautiful langoustine here. It's almost like halfway between a shrimp and a lobster. Let's try this. Oh my gosh. Yes. That's so good. Super fresh. It almost feels like, why am I picking out the tiny little bit of meat when we have all the seafood? Nothing goes to waste though. Oh, it's so sweet. That head butter. Let's try one of these shrimps next. So much variety and so fresh and delicious right on the Atlantic coast. Oh man, this is just absolutely amazing. We've also got a little vinaigrette here. Go for a dip, but honestly, it doesn't even need it. Everything's so fresh and good just by itself. Oh, yeah. That is so good. It's got a really nice bouncy texture. All right, let's try one of these periwinkles. We call them periwinkles in Canada. I don't know what they're called in French, to be honest. And it definitely takes a bit of skill. Oh, actually, that came out really easy. Go for a dip in the vinaigrette and try. Tiny. That vinaigrette's so good. Those periwinkles are everywhere where I come from. You can just pick up a handful off a rock easily. It's funny to see them like on a menu here at a kind of fancy restaurant. Working our way through this home, man, this is a ton of seafood. I'm tempted to say that this is the best seafood I've ever had in my entire life, which is saying a lot because I've had seafood all around the world. Let's try another famous Cancale oyster with this beautiful, beautiful vinaigrette. So good. And look at this. They gave us not one, not two, but 3 buckets for our shells. And we're gonna need it. Continuing on our summit of Seafood Mountain, we've got these tiny, tiny little shrimps. Let's try these guys. Sweet, but man, I gotta give it up for these guys. The langoustines are just absolutely incredible. They've got this crazy sweetness. Crack them like this, and then peel them back open. Oh, I kind of wrecked that one a little bit, but man, I can only compare it to lobster. It's definitely closer to lobster than crab, but it's got this really unique flavor with an amazing sweetness. And with the vinaigrette, oh yeah. Oh, this is just so indulgent, and I haven't even touched the crab yet. Look at this. All right, time for this guy. Okay, let's try the crab, famous Breton crab. Oh man, there's gonna be a lot of meat in this, like we need it. And I just have my eyes on this claw for sure. Let me just crack this open. Definitely takes a little bit of skill required to open these guys, and it definitely gets a little bit messy too. There we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that, beautiful, beautiful. Gotta go for the vinaigrette. Oh man, I'm just in heaven here, seafood heaven. Everything's amazing. Look at, let me just crack that. And a ton more meat. There's so much meat in these guys. Oh, this is amazing, guys. So there's not just one crab, but there are 2, and you can see there's also some crab eggs on the inside. Oh man, this is just probably the best seafood experience you can have in France. And honestly, the price is pretty reasonable. 80 euros for all of that seafood. It's quite a lot of seafood for the price, I find. We're running out of vinaigrette because we're just going through so much. This crab and the langoustine, definitely my favorite. Oh. Just keep going, going. Look at this, we're only, I don't know, 65% done, and we've completely filled an entire bowl full of shells. Oh my God, that is so much seafood. I need a nap.
Finished off with our seafood mountain. That was incredible. I am very confident in saying that that was the best cooked seafood I've ever had. I gotta give up for Japan in terms of best seafood overall. I've had some incredible sushi, but that was the best cooked seafood. Those langoustines, that crab, and the shrimp were just so flavorful, like more flavor than any other shrimp or any other shellfish that I've ever had in my life. And the oysters too, incredible. It's definitely time for dessert now. So we've just popped into a patisserie here in Cancale. This is a very popular one called Le Grain de Vanille, and we ordered up 2 of their specialties. The most famous pastry in all of Brittany is this guy right here. It's called Coin Aman, which is actually the local Breton language, and this is what they call the fattiest pastry in all of Europe. It is 40% flour, 30% butter, and 30% sugar. So very simple, but very, very delicious. The Coin Aman is quintessential Breton pastry. And then this place is very popular for their millefeuille, so we also ordered that too, which is the 1,000 layered pastry. So it's custard in the middle, and then you get all those flaky layers. But I just gotta go right away for a bite of this Coin Aman. Just look at that. You can see all that caramelized sugar on the outside. 30% sugar, 30% butter, 40% flour. Just think about that. Like a cup of butter, a cup of sugar, and then a cup and a quarter of flour. Super buttery, sweet, but it's like crispy and flaky, just crunchy in your mouth. Oh, man, it's just so buttery. You can tell it's fatty, but it's so sinfully good. Look at that. Oh man, it's all you need in life. butter, sugar, and flour. All right, I'm gonna try out the millefeuille. I just got a little tip from the local here. Let me try to eat it correctly, if I can. And just lift? Just the top layer. Oh, like this, yeah? Oh, yes, okay. Okay, so just one layer at a time. This is an intricate, okay, intricate process. Oh, it's delicious. It's actually not too sweet. You can taste the vanilla, really thin, flaky layers, and then custard cream on the inside. Oh, that's so good. Oh, that is delicious. I love the queen amande, but this is also amazing. This queen amande's like perfect contrast of kind of chewy and then crunchy, caramelized on the outside, buttery goodness. But also their millefeuille is amazing. Some incredibly delicious pastries here at Grain de Vanille. You definitely have to try this place out if you're visiting Cancale, and you have to have queen amande here in Brittany. It is just the best pastry you can have, maybe in all of France. Super fatty, but super good. So we're gonna head to the town of Saint Malo next, do a little sightseeing and some more eating. Let's go. So just a 25-minute bus ride or so from Cancale is the town of Saint Malo. It's another beautiful coastal town on the Atlantic coast. It's actually like a beach town. They have this really cool pool. It's like a natural pool. Well, it's man-made, but it's natural because it fills up with the water when the tide comes in, and then when the tide goes out, you can keep swimming in it, and it's just absolutely beautiful. I'm walking along the ramparts here, the kind of wall that surrounds the city, all these beautiful old buildings and lots of seagulls, and they're very like domesticated. They'll let you get really close to them, and we're just taking a little walk, taking in some sightseeing and burning off some of that seafood before we have some more food tonight. My top tip for traveling in France is leave Paris. Go to the countryside, go to these small towns. There's nothing wrong necessarily with Paris. It's beautiful, but I mean, it's also extremely beautiful here. It's cheaper, the people are friendlier, and the food is just as good, if not better. But man, is it ever more relaxing and just peaceful compared to Paris. It is so beautiful. You gotta leave Paris behind if you visit France. I mean, of course, visit Paris, but then leave. Just a quick stop for us here in Saint Malo. Beautiful town though. If you're ever traveling to Brittany, you have to stop and check it out. The beach is just gorgeous. If it was summer, I definitely would be going for a swim. But we're going to continue our tour here in Brittany to the town of Mont Saint Michel, which is one of the most beautiful towns in all of France. And there we're going to try the famous Breton Galette, a buckwheat pancake famous in this region. So let's go to Mont Saint Michel. So this is beautiful Mont Saint Michel, a towering church on top of an island that has been connected to the mainland, and it's surrounded by this kind of muddy bay that actually has the highest tides in all of Europe. So the story goes that a bishop had a dream that the archangel Michel came to him and told him to build a church on this island. So he did. So this is his dream come true, and we've got tickets to go into the abbey, which is way up there, you can see. So we're going to explore Mont Saint Michel a little bit, and afterwards we're gonna have some galettes inside the town. So let's go. making our way up to the top to the Abbey, which we have tickets. I'd recommend to buy them online ahead of time. This is an extremely popular tourist attraction. It's actually the most visited place in France outside of Paris. So we're just exploring the Abbey. It is extremely beautiful. This is still a functioning church, and let me tell you, this would be the world's greatest place to play hide and go seek. There's just like a maze, a labyrinth of all these ancient alleyways. And one really interesting fact about Mont Saint Michel is it's symbolic of the social hierarchy of France from the past. So at the top you have the church, and then living underneath the church directly would be like the clergymen, and then underneath that would be like the nobility, and then the shops, and then at the bottom and even outside the walls would be like the peasants and the fishermen. Slight change of plans. We've decided to not eat here inside of Mont Saint Michel because it's just so touristy. There's not very many restaurants. Just look at how many tourists there are. So packed here. And actually we planned on eating Galette, which is a Breton specialty. Turns out Mont Saint Michel is actually in Normandy. I didn't know. It's like right on the border. So we're actually going to go back to Brittany and go to a nice little place on the beach for a galette. Let's go.
So it's time to try the famous Breton galette. You should either start, end, and fill your trip full of galettes when visiting Brittany. This is it right here. So it's a buckwheat crepe, savory, and you can order all kinds of different toppings. I actually ordered mine with gravlax, salmon cured, squeeze a little lemon on there, and then you can see that beautiful buckwheat underneath. And then this one also comes with a little bit of it's like a cream cheese. Put some of that, and then like I said, you can have this with sausage, you can have it with egg, you can have it with vegetarian, all kinds of different things. Let's give it a try. It's actually not as crispy as I thought it was going to be. It's almost on like the kind of chewier side, like kind of bouncy. Oh, that gravlax is really good though. This one's a little bit different than some of the other ones I had seen. Sometimes they're really crispy and kind of stuffed on the inside, but this one's sort of topped with a salad and then with the gravlax. Yeah. I can't say that the galette actually has too much flavor. It's just kind of like the medium to eat everything else here in Brittany. You have to have a galette. It's so typical Breton. There's nothing more Breton than a galette, really. And they're good. So I've cleared away my salad so you can get a better look at the galette. It is basically a crepe, but the main difference is that it's made with buckwheat. So that's why it's got this kind of dark flavor, or sorry, dark color. And also, galettes are all savory. It's really good. Really good with the salmon. You can taste the galette all across Brittany. We just stopped at this place because it was on the way back from Mont Saint Michel. Brittany is just so beautiful. The towns are so historical and the food is so good. Like I said earlier, it's definitely worth leaving Paris to explore some of the countryside of France, and Brittany is a great stop. Today's video, we covered a lot. We went from the seafood in Cancale to the beautiful sights of Saint Malo and Mont Saint Michel, and then finishing off with the galette. It definitely feels like a very full Breton adventure. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe. Our France journey doesn't end here. We're continuing on to the gastronomic capital of France next, to Lyon. So subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of Chopstick Travel. Bye.